Okay, well, welcome to the live stream. Today we're going to be giving dating advice from Reddit. Um, so do you want to start?
Thank you. Okay. So, 27-year-old female, my boyfriend, who is 34, caught the bouquet at a wedding and threw it back at the bride. Posting for some advice because I'm genuinely unsure on this one or if to address it on a deeper level with him. My boyfriend went to his close friend's, the bride, wedding. I was not invited, but fair enough. Weddings are expensive and I do not know her very well. He came home yesterday and told me a funny story about how the bride wasn't going to do the whole throwing the bouquet tradition, and he encouraged her and then managed to catch it. The bride then said to him, "You're next," and he said, "Ah, take it back," and threw it back at the bride. He told me thinking it would be funny because everybody laughed, but it's actually upset me a little bit. I guess the reason I'm upset is that he publicly rejected the idea of commitment and threw the bouquet back at the bride in front of a group of people. And I wasn't even there to be a part of the joke or laugh it off. The punchline being, "Get that thing away from me, I don't want marriage." As much as it was just a joke and no one probably paid any attention or even remembers, it feels to me as though he is downplaying our relationship in front of others, particularly when I think about the fact he would have been stood up in he would have been stood in a group of women also trying to catch it. I just feel embarrassed and a little disrespected. But I also can't tell if I'm blowing it out of proportion and need to let it go, or I deserve an apology and understanding from him. After he told me, I sort of pulled a bit of a face and went off a bit quiet. He knew it had upset me, but I was hit with the, "Oh, don't be like this. I was looking forward to seeing you tonight," which made me feel like he thinks this is a me problem and doesn't understand why it would upset me. I don't think any girlfriend would want to watch or know that their boyfriend threw the bouquet after catching it at a wedding, saying, "Get it away from me." Would love to hear your thoughts. Would love to hear the thoughts of others. Edit, adding some important details that have been asked for. We have been together for just shy of 2 years. We live together. We have discussed that marriage is our mutual long term goal. I was not invited to the wedding day. Due to budget restrictions, only family had plus ones and partners of friends were only invited to the evening do. Okay.
Okay, so what do you think about that whole situation?
I think the fact that they've actually discussed marriage and the prospect of it actually made him throw a bouquet of flowers at a bride makes me raise an eyebrow.
Well, the fact that he's 34 and he's throwing back the bouquet and they've been together 2 years, I mean, is quite telling in and of itself.
Yes, but it's kind of funny, isn't it? No,
What?
but like, what do you look for in a partner? Sense of humor. He told her this as a funny story. Yes, he no malicious intent.
But like, if firstly, it should just be women in the crowd catching the bouquet, right? Like, what is this man doing there? Trying to catch it, catching it, and then throwing it away, saying, "Get this away from me." It's like, I don't want marriage.
Okay, perhaps this was some sort of a message he tried to convey. Sans words. And I don't. It's funny. It is funny. I do understand that it's in the grand scheme of things. It's not. It's probably very hurtful, but just picture it, just for a second.
Okay, so what would you do if you were in this woman's shoes and your man threw the flowers back? Like, I don't want marriage.
I would have been pissed off I wasn't invited to the wedding in the first place.
But it was budget constraints.
If I was that important to the best friend of the bride's, if he really was the best friend of the bride, and I was dating this guy, and he didn't bring me to the wedding of his supposed best friend, that's a red flag for me enough.
Okay, like
If I chose not to go, different story.
okay, so would you now stay with him or would you now end the relationship because of this?
I would. He sounds funny, so I'd stay and just for like a month, see how it goes.
So you'd stay for a month and just feel out the vibes.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe take him to Vegas and just see what, like, if he starts shaking, you know?
Okay.
Exposure therapy.
Okay.
Slow.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So welcome to everyone watching. We're now going to move along to the next story. Remember to double tap the screen if you're enjoying it. We're going to be doing dating advice. So she's going to be reading the female perspective and I'll be reading the male perspective. So in this next one, I'm a 27-year-old male and my wife is a 27-year-old female, and she has given up on our child who's a 10-year-old female. I'm not sure how to reconcile. How do I move past this? So, my family's broken and I'm trying to reassemble the pieces. I need advice. For context, my wife is 29 years old and we've been together since childhood, and we've now been married for around 5 years. I know we've become parents and got married pretty young, but we've made it work. My wife's a small business owner. She turned a passion into a career. I'm really happy for her. When she started, I promised her that since my work hours were flexible, I'd hold things down at home so she could focus on building her business. We were a team until we weren't. My wife's an extreme workaholic and it's come between our family. We're not in a good place. Our daughter's 10 years old and I'm her sole caregiver. The time my wife and daughter spend together is made up mostly of short replies of silence. Our daughter isn't disrespectful. She's a good kid. She's just not comfortable with her mom. My wife and I have had a lot of talks about the state of our family, with the business well off the ground and her not needing to personally oversee everything as often. We're working on reconnecting, but it's been an uphill battle. Recently, we had a bad fight. She told me she's given up on everything with our daughter. She said she's not good at it, she's just going to stay in her lane. I told her she couldn't decide to clock out on our daughter during rocky stints. She said she's emotionally exhausted from repeatedly striking out. She feels she can't do anything right in our daughter's eyes. She said I have it easy, that our daughter prefers me, and even made sure her whole class knew it. The class jab was about a school assignment. Our daughter had to interview someone she admired, and she asked me. My wife was hurt. She still feels quite a way about it. She accused me of not understanding. She comes home to a child she carried, not respecting her, that our daughter's an expert critic when it comes to her. She went into a huge rant. The way she talked about her rubbed me the wrong way completely. I told her most of her complaints weren't our daughter's creation. She asked me what that meant, and I laid it out that she hasn't gone out of her way to connect with our daughter. She shut me down. She went into how she busts her bum for our family, and the least I could do is show up for her. All I do is show up for her, including holding down responsibilities that we're supposed to share. We aren't childless. It's no longer those me and her against the world days. I need to show up for our daughter too. She just kept saying she has a lot on her plate and I'm supposed to be her piece. I refuted. The only piece that ever seemed to matter these days was hers. She said our daughter and I are two of a kind and began sarcastically apologizing for her sacrifices. And if the business is what's driving us apart, then she'll renounce it. Should make do. I asked her if we could skip her martyr routine and actually talk. The fight only escalated. I called the fight a complete waste of time, but she interpreted that as me calling her a waste of time. It was the worst fight we had in a while. Our daughter was at her grandparents', so she didn't hear anything. At this moment in time, we're at an impasse. Things are still tense. I don't know how to clear the air or how to reach out about our daughter. She can't dismiss her like some disgruntled customer at work. In a lot of ways, I feel like a single parent too. I don't believe she's being honest with herself about her issues. She's a distant figure who has a habit of talking to our, she has a habit of talking at our daughter instead of to her. There are a lot of broken promises, nothing ever mended. She doesn't try engaging. Our daughter loves anime, but my wife doesn't hold back on overly criticizing it in front of her. My daughter got into K-pop, but to my wife, it's just some bothersome noise around the house or in the car. Our daughter even has stage fright, yet she joined a school play because she knows her mom loves the theatre. My wife promised that she'd come. Guess what? She didn't. The worst part was seeing our daughter realize she wasn't. My wife never even apologized. She gave her "work was busy, I promise next time" speech. She offered to bring our daughter with her on Take Your Child's Work Day. I thought it would be good for them and a chance for our daughter to see more of what her mom does. But our daughter called me upset and wanted me to pick her up. She said her mom had immediately left her with a subordinate and went AWOL. When my wife checked in on her, they fought. She told our daughter that a bratty attitude won't be tolerated in her workspace. She and I had it out later. She apologized to our daughter and blamed blowing up on work frustration. She offered to bring her back another day, but our daughter refused. My wife always felt she was bad at articulating her feelings. She feels she comes off as aggressive. That's partly why she leaves our daughter caretaking to me. But this fight has me questioning the nature of our relationship. I don't doubt she loves our daughter. I saw it firsthand during the pregnancy, and in our private conversations, she couldn't stop gushing about her. I felt her love in the little things. I don't know, something changed over time. My wife isn't close with her parents. She usually has me talk with them on her behalf. She has a mindset that parents or kids don't have to be close. She believes since she turned out fine, so will our daughter. I'm failing to help their relationship, and on our own, we barely have quality time. Intimacy is short. When we're out together, we aren't really together because in public, she's hyper aware and has her business persona on. I don't know what else to do. I'm at a loss. I'm not trying to bash my wife. I just want everyone to be okay. I'm in fight or flight right now for my family. How do I mend my wife's and daughter's relationship while also repairing my marriage?
That, I think when you become a parent, your relationship is not solely your and your partner's responsibility. Well, it is, but now a child is added into the equation. You have to you have to make sure they're emotionally and physically taken care of. And if this person wants to mend their family, I think the most important thing is making sure that that daughter is in a good place, and not in one where her interests are being. No, I don't like this one bit. Not what is your opinion? What would you have done?
Well, I mean, there's obviously a clear disconnect between all three of them, the father, the mother, and the daughter. There's a lot of complicated relationship dynamics. You know, obviously the daughter wants to connect with both parents and she's connecting nicely with the father, but she's not connecting nicely with the mother. So there has to be some sort of reconciliation between the mother and the daughter, but that can only happen if it's wanted from both sides, and currently it's only wanted from one side. The daughter's clearly interested in the mother and what she does, you know, showing her by signing up for the play, even though she has stage frights, and then even going to work with her. But both times the mother just didn't show up for her. So it almost feels like the mother's just not interested.
I mean, that's exactly what the daughter's thinking. The daughter is probably having self-esteem issues because of this, and mother-daughter relationships basically shape a lot of what a woman eventually becomes and things like that. But that's not to say that a father can't do just as good of a job, but he can't. But the thing is, I think the onus of this issue is on the wife, because she very clearly does not want help engaging and connecting with her family. She doesn't, and perhaps it's because of personal struggles, but she isn't reaching out because of those personal struggles. And I think that needs to come from within first, personally. Or therapy could be suggested.
I mean, therapy could be quite a good avenue. I feel like there's a lot of maybe unspoken about traumas that, therapy will bring out and they'll be able to discuss as a family. And, maybe the mother will see where she's going wrong.
Well, hopefully, but from the sounds of things, if the mother is censored in any way, I don't know if she'll take it that well. So it needs to be in a space where the daughter is completely isolated from any sort of anger. And yeah, I think you've just got to put your child first and realize that a single parent home can be just as happy as a two-parent home.
That's very true. Thank you for your insights. For everyone that's just tuned in, we're doing some relationship advice today from Reddit. And yeah, this is my co-host, and she'll be reading the next story.
Okay.
Just come get more.
Okay. So I'm a 29-year-old female, and I'm planning to leave my completely financially dependent and toxic partner, 34-year-old male. How do I warn him that he needs to get it together? My partner and I moved out of our home state 4 years ago when I got a job. He has not had a job since, and I struggle significantly to get all of the bills paid. He spends $100 or more a week on weed, which makes it more difficult, and I have to pay for everything. He complains about my cooking, but doesn't cook either, so we have to eat out often. He gets in very foul moods where he slams things, yells, calls me names, etc. At the beginning of April, I told him I didn't want to be with him anymore. I also told him if he reacted aggressively to my feelings, I would plan to leave him without warning. He reacted aggressively by slamming things, and then I decided to work outside of the apartment because he was getting so loud and I work from home. He found the cubicle where I was working in our building, barged in, got in my face, and called me terrible things. When I made the comments in April, I promised myself that I would leave. I believe that part of the reason he reacts so negatively to me saying these things is that he will lose access to housing, food, a car, etc. He doesn't talk to his family. He does not have one close friend whose family he can maybe stay with, although I'm not sure. My partner will be out of town for a week or less in the summer, and I plan to pack up and leave then. I don't know how to go about this, and what should I say, if anything, given his previous reactions. My therapist connected me with a DV org who is going to help me break my lease. I don't know how to go about telling him he needs to start taking action to support himself given his reaction in the past. He will not know where I'm going, however, he does know where my mum lives, and that kind of freaks me out. Edit, I don't expect this to blow up. I did not expect this to blow up as much as it did. I will be leaving in July and will update this post. There has been no update. She is yet to leave. What are your thoughts on this?
So, I mean, obviously, it's quite a complicated situation. There's a lot of things at play here. It could potentially become quite dangerous, considering she's contacted the DV organization. And the fact that he knows where the mother is also, a bit of a conflicting interest there, because she can't really go to the mother because he'll know that she's there. But based on where you are in the world, for example, we're in South Africa, so if you're ever in a situation like this, you can get a restraining order pretty easily. You can just go down to the police station and file for a restraining order. And if that's broken, well, then you just call the police and, press charges or so. But, it depends on how she wants to play it. She might not want to go down that route. There might be too much trauma behind that. But she might feel like it's completely worth it. It depends on, how insane is this man? How far is he willing to go?
That is a very terrifying question, and I'm afraid we'll never know the answer to it. until after July, but I'm I am really just wishing the best for this poor person because I genuinely don't know what I would do, because I know that taking legal action against someone who you have had feelings for in the past, romantic, platonic, whatever, it's not an easy thing to do. It's easier said than done a lot of the time. And I I what saddens me is she thinks he deserves a warning. Do you think he deserves a warning if the case is that he is violent at home, and which it suggests?
I mean, if he's already violent and she's already worried about DV, well, I don't necessarily think he deserves a warning. You know, it's a dangerous situation. We don't know how he's going to react once he finds out. And maybe she does love this man, but, you know, I'm sure she's had conversations with him in the past where this topic has come up. You know, if you tell him, it sounds like he's already quite set in his ways. Is he really that prepared to change?
Most likely not. People do not like change, especially within themselves. And I think that wait prolonging this relationship is only going to make it hurt.
I agree. Okay, welcome to everyone watching. You're currently on the Theorist Corner. We are chatting relationship advice today. Um, and our next story is, I'm a 25-year-old male and my ex-girlfriend is 24-year-old females, and she wants me to confess the truth to her new boyfriend. How do I handle this? And guys, remember, if you have any advice, just leave it in the comments, or we will come back to them. Hi to Super Studs and Nola Yuso. Thank you for joining. Um, so I had dated my girlfriend for 2 years up, and it ended last week after she admitted to cheating on me. At first, our relationship was great, but then I noticed she started getting more secretive of her phone and flirting with a guy named Brad. Sounds like a red flag. When I asked her about it, she denied having feelings for him and made him feel bad for even asking. My suspicions grew though, and I went through her phone where she implied that she had slept with him and even said she was planning to leave me in a month for him. I confronted her and she denied at first. I then decided to tell two lies. The first one was when I told her that I talked to Brad and that he admitted everything to me. That's when she confessed she had slept with him about 10 different times over the past month and that she indeed was planning to leave me. I broke up with her on the spot, but not before telling another lie in that he told me he was cheating on her with 3 different women. I had no way to know if he really was cheating, but yesterday she sent me an angry message saying that I ruined the relationship with Brad that she had and that I lied to her about everything. Apparently, he had no idea what she was talking about and he angrily ended things with her. She's threatening to do damage to herself if I don't talk to her boyfriend and admit that I lied about everything. How do I either keep up with the lie or just say this isn't my problem?
Okay.
Let's get some feminine perspective on this.
Well, first thing, not just for feminine people out there, but if anyone threatens to damage themselves, leave that situation immediately. Second of all, both of these people sound like they are very interesting, eccentric. Like, eccentric. I'm really trying to think of a nice word here. Please help me. A nice way to describe this couple.
It sounds like they're not interested in each other.
Okay, I think more than that. It sounds as though they both do not care about each other's emotions whatsoever, and they think that they can play with people like they're dolls. They should just download The Sims.
Yeah, so this sounds like a very interesting perspective, and I do agree with it. But I mean, the fact that She was seeing other people behind his back, and the fact that he was willing to lie to her about it already tells me majority of what I need to know. They should not be together.
Or they're both equally messy and they're meant for each other and we don't know. That's the thing. Because if you think about it, the lies and the concoctions of these secrets, it takes a certain type of person to be able to pull these things off. And do you really want to inflict that upon another person who is not of that mindset? I'm not saying that they should stay together. I'm saying that I think it takes two to tango. But I'm not impressed with the way either of them dealt with it. I'm very disappointed.
Well, there you have it. It takes two to tango. Okay, so time to move on to... Oh, no, just before we move on...
I would also like to say that I think that what the 25-year-old male said, lying about poor Brad. Brad had no idea what was going on as far as we're concerned, okay? And he starts defaming his character and causing pandemonium in Brad's life. Have we ever stopped to think about Brad?
I feel like with certainty Brad knew what he was walking into. Like, he must have known that she was in a relationship.
You'd be surprised how well people keep that. You never know. You never know.
I mean, the reason I feel like Brad knew is because the ex wanted the other ex to tell Brad the truth.
I think he was out to get Brad and his ex-girlfriend. So, no, I just don't understand why people would like to make up these stories and, again, play dolls. These are adults. Big people. They can do it. Not normal.
Okay, well, it takes two to tango, but in this story it takes three to tango. Let's...
Brad did nothing.
Brad knew what was happening.
We'll get back to Brad later. I would like to say that he's innocent because we genuinely don't know. He doesn't even know anything about this man other than that his name is Brad.
That's true. Well, good luck to you, Brad. We'll move on swiftly to the next story, and I'll pass the mic over.
Okay, so I hope that we've all taken a moment for Brad. Okay, so do I, 27-year-old female, just accept that my fiancé, 35-year-old male, can only pay a small portion of the bills and not question it? My fiancé gets angry when I talk about money. Currently, we need to move to a bigger place for his daughter, and he refuses to pay 50-50. Do I just accept that he can only pay a small portion of the bills and not question it despite his good income? For context, my fiancé and I have lived together for 5 months now. I currently pay the majority of the bills, about 70%, 30%, which I agreed to as it was my apartment in the first place and was supposed to be a temporary place until we found a bigger one. The plan was to split the bills 50-50 when we moved. We are now at the point where we really need a bigger place. He has a daughter we have on the weekends, and she is currently sleeping in the living room. When I asked him how much he can afford in rent, he told me $600 a month total for his half of the rent, electricity and Wi-Fi. For context, he makes $65,000 annually and has minimal other bills. Also, prior to moving in with me, he paid $1,100 a month in rent alone. So I'm not sure why now he can only afford $600. A few times now, I've asked him to sit down with me and create a budget, as he makes enough money to pay for more than $600 a month in bills. And quite frankly, he won't even cover half the rent for a 2-bedroom apartment in my city, much less the added cost of utilities and Wi-Fi. Every time this happens, he gets angry, yells at me, accusing me of being judgmental when it comes to money, and storms off. When truly all I care about is making sure that we can get a bigger place with a room for his daughter. He refuses to make a budget and says that it's unnecessary and that he's a grown man who has never had to make one. At this point, I believe he just expects me to shoulder paying more in bills, and I feel a little used. I do make more money, but not by much, $75K US dollars, which is just, that's a $10,000 difference.
Yes.
I just had to check. I'm just not sure what to do at this point. Do I just accept the amount he gave me and not question it? However, that puts me in a situation where I'm paying the majority of the bills, which I don't feel is fair. Adam, what do you think about this?
I don't know what the right term is, but it feels like he's looking for a meal ticket, if I'm being honest. You know, if the earnings are very similar, why can he not afford to pay more for rent? You know, his daughter's staying there on the weekends. So, you know, there's technically 3 people in the apartment, and he's still only paying 30%. He should be paying at least double 30%. You know, he should be paying closer to 70%.
Exactly. And the fact that he doesn't seem to care about his daughter's well-being and her privacy, making her sleep in the living room for we don't know how long this has been going on for, it really seems that he just doesn't have any respect for anybody other than himself. So, I do think this is financial abuse. 100%. And it's controlling, and I don't like.
Okay, brilliant. Very nicely read. We'll move on to the last story now. For everyone that's just tuned in, you're on the Theorist Corner. Double tap your screen, let us know where you're watching from. So for the last story, I'm a 30-year-old male, and I found my partner, 30-year-old female, on Hinge. As the title says, we were walking and she was showing me something on her phone in the most recent apps I saw, Hinge. I asked her about it, and she said she's been using it to scroll through, kind of like social media. She showed me the most recent messages, and there was nothing there. She said she hasn't spoken to anyone on the app and hasn't met with anyone. She also said that she hadn't changed her pictures. I left at that point because I had to think about some things. A few days later, we met and I asked her to go through her Hinge, and she said she'd deleted the app, so I asked her to re-download it. She did. She was doing something on the app in front of me, and so I asked for her phone. She had uploaded new pictures because she looks good in them, and there was nothing else on there. I asked what she was doing whilst I was waiting. She said she was looking at her profile, and I asked her again. She then said she deleted the messages. I asked why, and she said they were personal and before we got together. She had also previously unmatched me, but not them. From all this, she's annoyed at me for being cold about the way I went about things and the fact I breached her trust by going through her Hinge. I was ready to end things, but we had a holiday booked a few days later, so we went. Throughout the holiday, she showed me that she really cared about me, and it really messed my head up. I know it's over and I need to move on, but I feel like I need to know if she's cheated on me or not, but she gets defensive when I bring it up. I know I'm being a complete idiot, but please give me your honest thoughts about the situation. So, interestingly enough, there's an update. There's a part 2. So here we go with the part 2. So I went to go see her to have the talk. We started with small talk, and then she broke up with me. This honestly took me by surprise. She said she had thought about why she had been on Hinge and said that she was just unsure about me And even after a year of being exclusive, she's still unsure and is unsure if she will ever be sure. She also mentioned how upset she was that I broke her trust by going through her Hinge and that I never really trusted her. But ultimately, she's saying she broke it off because it's not fair for me. She still remains adamant that she didn't cheat and that she's never lied to me, even though she deleted messages and changed her profile pics despite me asking previously. She then started to talk about all the nice times we've had together and how I'm such a good guy. She cried a lot and then stayed at the door as I drove off. Yo, that's ice cold. Uh, my question is, what just happened? Once again, I feel like I'm in the wrong. I think she may have a little cognitive dissonance with the Hinge thing and can't admit to herself what she's done. I also question if she thinks she's done anything wrong. The whole trust thing is utter nonsense. Looking back, I gave her the benefit of the doubt in situations which I probably shouldn't have, but I trusted her. I know you guys were right, and this needed to be over, but it sucks that she broke up with me. Obviously, I'm very upset and miss her, but I think I miss the idea of her more than the real person. I understand it may take time, but I'll get over this and be even stronger at the other side. But it just really sucks at the minute, so any advice to help me get over this would be appreciated. I've got a lot to process, think about, but if you guys want another post about relationships, just let me know. I'm finding it pretty cathartic writing about it. But yeah, guys, how would you handle the situation? You know, you see your girlfriend's on Hinge, you ask her about it, and then she's like hot and cold about it. You know, do you stay with her? Do you give her the benefit of the doubt, or do you just end it there? What would you do?
If I found that my partner was on Hinge, never mind posted new photographs and had unmatched with me, I wouldn't second guess my gut feeling that they are cheating on me or planning to do so. And I just think all of these have just shown blatant disrespect for other human beings.
Yeah, I mean, I think when he saw the Hinge on her phone, it was Dunzo's, and he was, you know, the moment he decided he left to think, and he needed those few days, I think it was done at that point already. But it is a bit shocking that when they went to go have the conversation, that she broke up with him. You know, in my opinion, dude needed a little bit of self-respect, and he should have broken up with her. He shouldn't have even given her the chance to have the chat.
I I actually do have an opinion on that. I think that she probably clocked that the talk they were going to have was going to be one in which they ended the relationship and she wanted to get there first. She didn't want to be the one who was broken up with. And I think that for the person who actually is asking for advice on how to get over this, there is really no roadmap for these things. But at the same time, you have to try and emotionally distance yourself from the person who has hurt you and allow that emotional distance to be there.
I very much agree.
And physical distance.
And physical distance. I very much agree. And that actually brings us to the end of the live stream. Thank you everyone for watching. We got one of you guys left. There's quite a few people that popped in. Just like to say thank you. Welcome to the Theorist Corner, and yeah, goodbye. I don't know how to end it. Oh, the